What's going on, everybody? I hope that you have read the caption. So, before I get into it, right, I had a conversation with somebody. I've been thinking about it now for a minute. And, this person doesn't necessarily believe in God. And the topic was, well, not the topic, but the question was, if God is so loving and God is real and all of this, then why did God create slavery? And that's a deep question, and I had to think about it. Uh, Now I'm giving my answer. God didn't create slavery. Figure that. I know people are like, whoa, I thought God created everything. No, hear me out. Hear me out. God didn't create slavery, man did. Man created slavery. God created man, yes. Man does all kinds of evil. I want you to think about this, right? Right in the matter of fact, before we get to going, I forgot to do this. Everybody, if you could do me the favor of liking this video and sharing this video out, I would greatly appreciate it. Or tag somebody so that they know that we're live. All right. I've been getting squashed with the algorithm on Facebook and YouTube. X, it always seems to do fantastic. Not so much everywhere else. So if you guys could like the video and share the video out. Anyway, as I keep going with this discussion, I want us to go back and think about Genesis, right? In the beginning, God created Adam and Eve in a literal paradise, right? And we go before that. We'll go before he created Adam and Eve. He created all these angels, all these heavenly hosts, right? For the purpose of serving. They were to serve him. And they were happy to serve. That's the thing. Even the devil himself was happy to serve. He just didn't want to serve man. Okay? So now we fast forward and we look at Adam and Eve created perfectly in the garden. That was perfect. It was paradise. And all they had to do was serve. That's all they had to do. And what I mean by that is they had to tend to the garden. That was it. That was their job. Tend to the garden, love God. Simple. Same thing with the angels. All you had to do, everything's provided for you. Just love me. You know what I'm saying? If I ask you to do something, do it. It's that simple. The angels had a job. Everybody had a job. Human beings had a job. Tend to the earth, right? Upkeep the garden. And everything is at your disposal. Just don't mess with that because it'll hurt you. So when we look at that, God didn't create slavery. God did create servitude. God created servitude. So then who created slavery? How did slavery get to be a thing? And this is the reason I want to touch on this, it's a touchy subject for people that connect themselves back to the past, to a trauma that we didn't experience, but, obviously people will throw it up to your face, or you're a descendant of slaves or whatever, right? But everybody technically is a descendant of a slave at some point in time in their life. But really think about this discussion. Think about this discussion right here. Man created slavery. Why? Why did man create slavery? Somebody would say, sin. Well, yeah, but what's behind it? What's behind it? Every sin has something behind it. When Adam and Eve sinned in the garden, why did they sin? Because the devil made them feel like they was lacking. They were lacking something when they had everything. But they wanted, what he tempted them with was, you will be like God, knowing between good and evil. They were already like God in the sense that they were created in his image and they had all power over the earth and everything provided for them. They can even create people if they wanted to, right? But he made them feel like it was lacking. So God provided perfect conditions for man, perfect conditions for the angels, perfect conditions for the fish in the sea, perfect conditions for the birds in the air, perfect conditions for everything on the planet. Everything in the universe is created, fine-tuned, perfectly designed. And it all is supposed to serve God. The main distinction between us and everything else, including the angels, is we got a choice. We can choose to serve or choose not to serve. And we were created in the image of God, which means that we have a desire to want to be, served. We want to be served. That's just the truth. That's the fact of the matter. We all want to be served in some way, shape, or form. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting someone to serve you, but can you provide the necessary conditions? So when we talk about slavery, slavery is a mutation of that thing that is in us. See, God wants to be served, but he doesn't force you to serve him. That's the difference between servitude and slavery. God doesn't make you a slave to him. You don't have to serve him. You got the free will, you got a choice, right? But man created slavery. We're saying, oh, you don't want to serve me? I'm going to make you serve me. That's the evil, because man didn't earn it. He didn't earn that right for someone to serve him. When you go into a restaurant and you got people, servers, right? You're paying for their service. You didn't earn it. You're paying for it. So it's the same thing in this world. People want to be served. And we'll go back. We'll look at the slave masters, right? The slave masters obviously didn't want to do the work themselves. So they needed servants to do the work. And when servants got thin, because England didn't want to bring no more people over here, they created slavery. They created slavery, which said, okay, we're going to make these people serve us, and it's going to be against their will. Even if they don't want to, we're going to make them, right? But imagine this, because people don't grasp this, right? There's nothing wrong with being a servant. God came down from heaven to be a servant to the people, to teach the people how they're supposed to be. If everybody served each other, oh man, the world would be in a better place. The world, we wouldn't care about the politics. We wouldn't care about any of the stuff that's going on, because we were every human being is trying to serve the next human being. Think about it, right? God didn't create slavery. He created servitude. Adam and Eve got to play all day long if they wanted to, as long as the garden was tended to. That's it. As long as the garden was tended to. Imagine if everybody got down like that today. We would have the Garden of Eden over the whole world, over the entire world. Everybody serving the next man, making sure you tend to what it is that you need to tend to the garden. And the garden being earth, where we live. Tend to it. Make sure it's good. The world would be in such a better place. So man creating slavery, it comes from a place of anger, because you have that desire. You know that you're supposed to be, somebody's supposed to be serving you. You deserve to be, but you don't. You don't deserve it. Now, given, and you can see the flaw in man, because a man can be wealthy, right? Wealthy and have all the money and create a perfect environment for the people around him, right? But they'll still not want to serve him. Matter of fact, you will see them he would have to pay for service, because you will see his kids and his family feeling like him, entitled. I don't got to do that. No, I'm not going to do that, Dad. You go do it. And they're the ones that backtalk their parents the most, that don't listen to their parents the most. If you really think about it, you got all the wealth in the world and you still got to pay somebody to serve you. They don't want to just serve you for free. Nobody wants to do nothing for free. Ain't that something? Everybody wants something. Everybody wants something. And that's the thing, man. That's the world we're in today. That's the world we're in today. So to answer your question, my guy, I'm not going to put your name out. God didn't create slavery, man. God created servitude to the point where he came down to show you how to be a servant, all the way up until death. You feel me? Man created slavery. Man created slavery because he has a desire to be served. That's it. It's simple as that. He has a desire to be served, but he can't produce the same thing that God produces to make somebody want to serve, to make them be okay with serving, to be happy. You know what I'm saying? That's it. That's it, bro. It's as simple as that. So yeah, I mean, that's my take on it. That's how I feel about it. Slavery, that's a real tough discussion. And people, we always want to blame, we want to point the finger about slavery. The fact is, man is flawed. Man is flawed. It wasn't just, the slavery in America with blacks, and it's not only that, it goes back before that. They had the Irish that were slaves. They had the Scottish that were slaves. Portuguese were slaves. Englishmen were slaves. They sold their own they brought them to America and they were enslaved. Some of them were indentured servants, but some of them were perpetual slaves. And even before that, before they even discovered America, slavery has been a thing. But don't think that was God's design. That was not God's design. God's design was never for man to make another man a slave. That was not God's design. God wanted people to be servants to each other, which is why Jesus came and said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It's simple. It is very simple. And God, really, if you think about it, is the biggest servant of them all. The biggest servant of them all. He serves everybody, the just and the unjust, get to wake up, and he provides oxygen. They don't got to pay for that to keep breathing and being horrible people. God provides it for them. He serves them just as well as he's serving us that are trying to do right. We're all flawed. Don't get me wrong. I'm not better than nobody, but God provides air for everybody to breathe. He provides a sun to warm everybody, to grow plants, crops. He provides water for people to drink. God provides every single thing for every single being that is in existence. Think about it. I mean, just think about it. It's just so much stuff, man. People want to be hurt. Everybody's angry at God. I've been there too. I've been angry at God. I get angry at God quite a bit, but it doesn't negate my actions of what I try to do, man. And I'm only making this message, for people that had that same question about God that this brother asked me. Always looking for the wrong thing, because you see the wrong and you're like, how can an all-powerful God that created everything allow these things to happen? I struggle with that same question, right? But then I thought about it, and it's like God's not causing the evil to happen. He's hoping for the best for every single person. He's hoping that every single person gets it and finally just lets it click in their head and be like, oh, let me not be a piece of garbage. Let me be right. Let me live the right way. Let me do the right thing for the people around me. Let me lead these people the right way. But he's not forcing you. So it looks like God's the one creating the evil because he's allowing it to happen. But if he stopped them, he'd be a tyrant. He'd be a tyrant. God's not a tyrant. Loves everybody, even gives you warnings. And I misspoke. I'm not going to say misspoke, but I had a flawed understanding. Like when we think about one of the things that gets me, right, is God allowed the firstborns of Egypt to die. Like, how could God do that? Why would God do that? That doesn't even seem like, and I made a statement that my God wouldn't do that. But that just comes from my limited understanding of what God should be. In my mind, God should be all caring, all knowing, and polite and nice and forgiving and compassionate. And he is all of those things. God is every single one of those things, right? But if we're created in his image and you understand that when it's time to discipline your children, you got to discipline your children. It doesn't mean you don't love your children, but you got to discipline them. And they don't understand. They're like, why is daddy hurting me? Right? Why is daddy whooping my butt? Why? You don't understand as a child. You're just like, dang, my dad's a jerk. That hurt. But your dad all the while is like, look, man, I've warned you a whole bunch of times. You're going to end up hurt. This is going to hurt you if you keep on doing this. If you keep practicing this thing in life, you're going to become hurt by it. It's going to ruin you. And I don't want you to be ruined. I love you. So you whoop your kid. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing with God. Sometimes he got to whoop us. And when we talk about the thing that happened in Egypt, the firstborns passing away, because that's a big one that people like to hit on. I like to hit on it myself. But after thinking about it, it's like, okay, wait a minute. God knows what I don't know. God knows all that I don't know. And when I die, when anything dies, we don't know what happens. But I believe we're going back to God. And it's going to just seem like exactly when you was a kid and you got your butt whooped and then it was over. And then you went back to your dad and you're playing and you're whatever. Or your mom. whatever, and you're playing. Everything's fine. It's the same concept. We look at death as if it's the end. It's the horrible. God allowed these firstborns to pass away. It's horrible. Yeah, to us as humans, because that's our understanding. We see death and we equate that to something bad. And, it's the end of everything. But God's looking at it like, no. I brought them home to me. And I brought them firstborns home to me before they had a chance to be corrupted by their father, who was doing all kind of evil things and teaching the people the wrong ways. And it didn't dawn on me until I had that thought. And it's like, oh, so when we see in the Bible where God's like, yo, go over here and remove them people from the land, right? It's like, okay, I get it. I get it. He removed them people from the land because they were doing completely wrong. We see the Sodom and Gomorrah, right? He wiped out Sodom and Gomorrah. I'm like, how could God wipe out a whole bunch of people? And it's like, they were doing all kinds of wrong. We see the flood with Noah. They were doing all kinds of it says that every manner of evil they were doing. And God was like, I've had enough. Time to wipe the slate clean. And you'll think in your mind like, but what about the kids? The kids didn't do nothing wrong. But again, think about this. If all the people on the earth, all the people, all the men, all the women were corrupt and they were evil, what's that going to do to the next generation? They need leaders that can teach them the right way. They need leaders that are going to tell them, hey, this is wrong. You shouldn't do this. Instead, they had the opposite. Everything was bad. Everything was bad. Everything that they taught was bad. So them kids got called home. That's the way I like to think of it now, man. And it blew my mind when I'm thanking this brother for asking me this question, because it led me down all types of different thought processes. So it's like, okay, the anger that I've had for the Old Testament, I do not have anymore. I do not have it anymore. I understand. I get it. I understand. God knows what I don't know, and we go back to him. So when a life ends, yeah, it's sad to us while we're here, but at the end of the day, it's nothing, because we live in eternity. We experience right now life, what we want to call it, but we live in eternity. Ain't that something? We're living a life here right now, but we live forever in eternity. So this is nothing. So when somebody goes, though it's sad, they went on to the real life, to eternity. So my dear brother, I'm talking to you. I'm not going to say your name. All right. I want you to think about everything I just said right now, man. We could choose to be upset because we don't really understand. We could choose to be mad about it. You know what I'm saying? But if you really think about it and you use your own life and your own experiences that you've had with your own family, your friends, people in general, you'll understand, bro. You'll get it. You use those experiences and think about it. It's not God. God didn't do the things that people do. People do things. Now, some people can do things that God does, but God doesn't do the things that people do with the intention that people do them. When man does something evil, that's because man is doing something evil. And believe me, it grieves his spirit. When a man does evil, every single person that watches this video, that when you do something wrong, it grieves you. You're like, man, I shouldn't have did that. I shouldn't have did it. That's conviction. God does everything knowing why he's doing it. And it doesn't come from a place of malice. It comes from a place of, man, I gotta discipline. I gotta discipline my kids because I love them. Because I love them. Some of them I gotta bring home. That's the way I look at it. I hope all of y'all, take some time. All of y'all take some time, man. Say someone call Cash and tell them, I'm sorry, I wasn't even looking at these comments, you guys. I've been in mode over here. All right, so Jody, I'm gonna answer your question. You say, I have a question. My second child was born with special means, and I've had many people tell me God gave her to me for a reason. What are your thoughts on that? I agree, 100%. 100% God gave it to you for a reason. And just because, a child's born different, I thought that's, for me, the way I look at it, it's to help you with a lesson, a life lesson, not in a bad way, in a good way. It's to help you with a life lesson. And that child is innocent all day long and has a life. And it's up to you to make that life beautiful. And that could be the lesson. Help make this baby's life beautiful. This baby that can't do normal, what normal kids do, is going to need you more than anybody else. So just be good. Be good to that baby. Teach that baby love. And I guarantee you that baby going to teach you love back. Regardless of what the special needs is, you got to have patience. You got to have patience. You got to have, hope. You got to have hope. And yeah, no, I don't think it's not a bad thing at all. It definitely is for a reason. Definitely for a reason, but it's not nothing bad. Don't think ever that. A baby is a blessing no matter what. No matter what. A baby is a blessing, no matter how that baby's born, no matter whatever it is. I really believe that there is no such thing as a coincidence, and that God does everything divinely, right? There is no coincidence. Everything is divine. That's how I look at it. But there's always a lesson to be learned in everything. Always. That's why I don't count my past as something bad. People get shocked when, they hear my life story or the things that I've been through. And I tell them I'm thankful. I'm thankful to God for every single thing that I went through, because it's been a lesson. Me going away this last time, that was a big lesson. It was a big lesson. I'm grateful for everything and everybody that's in my life. And that's why I'm not the same as I was before. Sometimes I try to go back and try to be like how I was before I went away. And it just doesn't feel right. That grieving that I tell you about, when I get on here and I get mad at somebody, and, like the other day, I caught myself instantly when I did that live, and that brother came in the chat and he was getting disrespectful. And then I started to get flared up back at him. And it's just like, hold on, wait a minute. That's not me. That's not me no more. I want more. I want for myself. I want for my brother what I want for myself. And that's my brother. Why am I talking to him like that? Just because he doesn't understand. So yeah, I mean, that's it. That's it for me. We gotta do better. We gotta do better for each other. Once we do better for each other, man, we'll see it in the world. You will see it. It will come back to you. It will come back to you. All the good that you do, it comes back, whether it be in this life or the next. But you better believe it, man. God is watching at all times. At all times. And proof of that, again, I use everything that's going on around us. The government can see everything that's going on right now because you got cameras everywhere, and we got them in our houses, and the government can watch it. If the government can watch you, you better believe God got a way. You never know. I've had this thought in my mind for a long time, since I was little, actually, that the insects, when you see insects, there's so many insects underneath the ground in your house that you don't even know about. You got little mites. There's mites living on us right now, microscopic, you can't see, right? But how do you know that that's not God's way of literally recording every single thing that you do in life? Everything, every interaction. So when you talking to a person, that bird that flew by and sat on a tree, that fly that kept buzzing around and you couldn't, how do you know that's not God's eyes just on you, recording every interaction throughout every single day? You know what I'm saying? With people all over. It gets deep, man. The more you think about it, man, you just know God is, he's there. God is there. You don't got to believe the same way that I believe. That's cool. You know what I'm saying? I just hope that every single person watching this does have an experience with God, to let you be grateful, to let you become thankful for the life that you have, regardless of what you've been through or what you're going through. It can be worse. It could be a lot worse. It's always worse. So count your blessings. Don't count the bad. Count the blessings. And you'll see you got more than enough. You wake up. Number one. That's the first one. Boom. You wake up. You open your eyes. You can see. That's number two. You can hear. You can still feel. You touch. You can still taste things. Thank God for that. You go downstairs, get you a glass of water. Thank God for that. You know, it's a lot. There's so much, man. There's so much to be thankful for in this life, and we forget it. We get caught up. I get caught up personally. The reason why I want to take the time for this is because the politics, it takes over. You start thinking about politics and you forget to understand that God is in control. We start thinking about the politics and everything going on in the world, and we forget God is in complete control, so much so that he wrote it all down in here that the world was going to go crazy. Everything was going to be bad. Everything's going to get bad. People are going to do really bad things. Leaders are going to rise up against each other, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There's going to be wars. There's going to be famines. There's going to be earthquakes. There's going to be fires. It's all right here. It says it. He says, well, fear not. That's the part we forget. Don't fear. Stop tripping. Stop tripping. That's what he's, man. That's how I feel God will be talking now. Like, look, man, stop tripping. I told you it was going to happen, didn't I? Why you tripping? I got you. You believe me, right? That's what I felt. God's sitting there like, yo, you believe me, don't you? Didn't I tell you I got you? I told you this stuff's going to happen, not to trip. Don't worry about it. Just keep on doing what you do. I'm going to be back. And when I come back, I'm going to separate the wheats from the tares. So just make sure you're wheat. That's all. It's it. It's making sure that you're a wheat. Ask for forgiveness every day for things that you do wrong and keep trying to be better. Keep trying to look out for the people next to you. That's what's important. No, what, man? It's so rough. Believe me, y'all. I understand. I want Trump to win this election, right? I really do. But at the same time, it's like, yo, whatever. You know, I pray to God that he gets in there because I would like to see my homeboys free from prison. But at the same token, man, if it didn't happen, don't think that the world is over. I mean, we close, but we're not quite there yet. You know what I'm saying? We have to get more spiritually in tune. We are so involved, especially myself, man. We are into these politics heavy. And I feel you. I'm right there with you. You know it. Screaming Trump 2024. But we got to get in tune spiritually, man. Get back plugged in with God. Get back plugged in with God. Read that word, man. Pray. Spend a little bit of time praying in the morning. That's just a little bit. Even if it's just a God, thank you for waking me up. Help me to be better today. Spend a little bit of time, just a little bit more time with God, and you'll see change in your life, man. I'm not saying you're going to become this holy person. I'm not saying your speech is going to get any better. I'm not saying that life is going to just change magically for you. That's not what I'm saying. But inside, you'll feel better. Inside yourself, your peace will be there. It'll be greater. Your peace will be stronger. The stresses won't bog you down. The worries won't have an effect on you the same way that they used to. Because you'll have that peace of God and understanding that God got you. God got you. We got each other. Yeah. God works in strange ways, man. Remember that. We got each other. So when you see somebody that's messed up, you read that Facebook post. You know, when people post that negative stuff online, it's because they're hoping somebody reaches out. Y'all know that? When somebody's posting something negative and sad online, on a Facebook page, they want you to reach out and say, hey, how you doing? You okay? And then they want to vent. That's it. Help out. Don't just scroll past. Just like, oh my God, I'm so sick of this post. This person is all they do is they're just so negative. Well, help make them positive. Help make them positive. I understand, but you know, you want a better place, right? You want a better world? Be the change. Be the change you want to see in the world. So with that, you guys, I'm going to get off here. We got to get ready for Truth to Set You Free here in 2 hours. I know this isn't my normal type of live, but I felt like it was necessary, desperately needed. And I've really felt like I had to. It was like drawing me to this. Like I had to have this conversation with everybody. We're getting ready, you guys, to launch our next events. So Thanksgiving and Christmas. We're doing it earlier right now so we can fundraise a little bit better because the last fundraiser, we raised enough to do what we had to do. Thank for all the help. But this time we gotta go harder. and we got to have a bigger span of time. So if you guys haven't already, go look in the comment or the description of this video. There's the link down there to Give Butter. All right. If you're somebody that wants to help out these families for these holiday seasons, go there and donate. It's through the 501c3, Streetlights Unity Movement, as you all know. And yeah, it is a tax write-off if you care about that. But yeah, man, let's help these families out. Be the change. Be the change. Let's help out these families that are in need. If you can, if you are a family that is in need, then don't worry about donating. Make sure that you hit me up around that time so we can make sure that we help you out. All right. That's what we got to do. So this is what we're doing right now. We're helping each other. As all I am is just a bridge in the middle, getting one thing from one place to the other. That's it. All right. You guys make it happen. I just provide the platform. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. I'm gonna end you with this. Unite. Don't fight. Be a street light, because only you can be the change you wish to see in the world. And when you get too stressed out, you gotta remember to pray, America. Because without God, everything falls apart. And that's a fact. Peace.